G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL Fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the lesser knowns and the players who are going to bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. My name's Heff, and this week welcoming back to the show is Tommy Wyman. Welcome back, mate. How you going?
Thank you, mate. Yeah, well, thank you. Busy, but going well.
Just talking to be up and about. You're a big Crows man, top of the ladder at the moment, although a bit worried about yesterday's performance, or?
It wasn't a great performance, but good sides sort of win those games where they play pretty awful for 3.5 quarters. So, look, probably not a dominant performance, but like many would have expected, but can't complain. Sitting top, game clear, would have taken that at the start of the year, absolutely.
Like I was saying just before the show, like a lot of teams would lose that sort of game this year, so at least to come away still with a win, playing that poorly and being under so much pressure, it's probably a good thing. You probably learn a few things about yourselves and that sort of stuff.
They definitely were flat. I mean, so up for it against Hawthorn, although they didn't start well there, but they were such a big game. And then another big game this week against Collingwood. I think, to get away with a win against West Coast, take it in the end.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, this isn't the Crows podcast, so we'll move on. Definitely this one, because being the usual Port supporters we have on this one, we might move on. So on the weekend, didn't have any. I had one Keeper League matchup, one league matchup, the Shiva competition.
Yep.
I'm in Div 24 this year, up from Div 26 last year. And listeners would know that I was top at the end of the minor round, had the week off last week. Made it through to the Div 24 Grand Final by 2 points on the weekend.
That's massive.
Yeah, it was. I think it was 5-10 to 5-12, and I actually was behind in the last 3 minutes. It came down to...
Yeah, what won it for you?
I think Liam Baker just had a couple mark and a kick, and I think that was about it, like a +6 somewhere. It was Baker and about 40-odd points versus Rob O'Brien.
Okay.
And I think, got there just in the end by 2 points.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Pretty... I thought I'd lost it as soon as it went over. I thought it was gone, and But I guess that was the positive of the weekend. We'll start with the positive. So come into the grand final this weekend. I do have a higher waiver priority than my opponent as well. So that's always a bit of good news, because we'll talk about that. Kind of ties into the next thing that I talk about. And so in the other league, I had the week off because I finished top 2 in that one, the grand final, and stuff's a week apart in those. All I wanted was a weekend where none of my players got injured. That's all I cared about, was just get through the weekend unscathed. You got a good chance next weekend. And I was driving to my mate's place Saturday night to have a couple of beers and watch the footy. And what do I hear as I'm driving there? That Brodie Grundy gets KO'd. At the time, they thought... The radio said he's definitely KO'd. They looked at his arms. They went funny and all that sort of stuff.
Great.
Yeah. But then... so that happened. But then later on in the night, I think it was Mitch Cleary or one of them came out and said, he's been cleared. Passed his HIA. Be good to go next week. And then all weekend, I'm sweet. Like, yep, this is all good. Like, no one's gotten injured. It's all good. Woke up this morning, jump on the Discord, and I see that Groddy's been ruled out on SEN. Yeah. So, all over. So, that's this weekend. So, I'm going to bring in, I've got Peter Laddams on the bench. I was real doom and gloom this morning, but then I went back and looked at, Peter Laddams' scoring history as the number one ruck. And the last time he actually rucked solo was 2023, before Grundy even arrived.
He wasn't there,
yeah. Because they had Hickey, and they played McAndrew a little bit that year.
Yep.
But so I went back and looked at the last times he'd rucked solo. And there was times where he played with McLean, but McLean had more hit outs. So he was in the ruck more type thing. But the last time he actually rucked genuinely by himself, played 75 plus game time, he scored 130.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then
you take that.
The 5 or 6 before that, hasn't gone really under 70 points.
Yep.
So I can see I'm expecting a 70 from Laddams this weekend.
If you can get, that'd be a good result.
Yeah, so
70, 80.
He comes up against Geelong as well, that do have they're a really easy ruck matchup. And quite often they sub Stanley out. Well, a few times you see they've sub Stanley out and just run with blitzarves in the last quarter
especially
as well.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives their rucks a few extra points and stuff like that. So I was real pissed off there at the end of the day. And obviously you want to have Grundy because he was a good captain option this week against Geelong as well. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Looking at the projections, I'm still favourite, albeit only by 5 points. Wow. But that's with a Laddams 40 projected. I think he gets higher than 40. I think
he'll get higher than 40.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. So it might not be the worst case, and it might be even good if I somehow scrape through, Grundy with a week off might come back a bit fresher. He'd want to make AA, and he plays against West Coast in the last round. So that should be a big score. Yeah, Flynn pulls up all right.
I thought he was...
same.
He looked real bad when he came off. But actually played really well, Flynn.
Yeah, he did in the end. Toughed it out. But yeah. Anyways, so... that's the weekend in fantasy. Got the grand final this weekend and the prelim and grand final in the Shiva and prelim in the home league. So wish me luck. Just before we get into the round review, just shout out to a couple new members. Jack Byrne actually was the only gold member that signed up. So thank you, Jack Byrne, for signing up and supporting the show. Just a reminder that pricing for membership probably will go up just a little bit. At the just after the season and the start of next year. So just purely to cover costs, basically everything, all the software I use for everything always goes up. So my price have to go up to cover it. So if you want to jump on now, you'll get kind of this year's prices for the next 12 months, which means you get all the pre-season content, which is all the best stuff and everything like that. So it's way better off to sign up now if you want to do it, just so you can kind of lock yourself into old prices and still get all the good stuff into the next season. And I guess the thing is as well, like it's even if it does go up, I still think it's cheaper than all the other memberships. Like I think the DT Talk one's $10 a month for the top option, and Moreira's Magic I think you pay I think it's about $80 for the whole year if you want pre-season and mid-season, in-season as well. So it's still going to be cheaper than all those, so don't stress about that. But yeah, just a bit of a warning if you want to jump on, you're thinking about it, do it now. Anyways, we'll get stuck into the round review. The Hawthorn versus Collingwood game, bit of a fizzer, eh?
Yeah, it was in the end. I certainly wouldn't have expected that. I thought it'd be a lot closer than that. I sort of just keep waiting for this Collingwood response, and it might come this week as it goes. But
that's what you don't want, right?
Yeah. But it never really came, did it? And Hawthorn were really good, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. But the thing is with Collingwood, and I know the team's a bit older and it does feel a bit different at this point in time. 2023, they had a 3 or 4 game slump where they either
they did
almost lost games that they should have won. I think they beat Port by a point, but Port were good back then. But then I think they lost to Hawthorn in that part of the season by about 5-6 goals when Hawthorn weren't good, because Hawthorn only kind of came back last year.
Yeah, this time in 2023, I think they were struggling to defend the ground a little bit, and I think they are again now.
And I reckon they needed to beat Brisbane or something in round 23 to just secure the minor premiership type deal. So same deal. If I don't know, it sounds cliche, but a few of the clubs like Brisbane, Collingwood, they say they're in intense training blocks right now and they're flat when they get to game days because they're building up for finals. I don't know if I buy into that too much. I feel like that's a bit of an excuse for some. But
you do hear that. But they did look flat though, and when Howe gets knocked out in the first 5 minutes or something like that, doesn't help at all. He's really important to their structures as well. Yeah, and you got guys like Moore who just and Frampton who sort of just look a bit lost down there at the moment.
Yeah, they do. Anyway,
but, they're going to be all right, I think.
We'll get stuck into the game, individual players itself. So on the Hawthorn side of things, Mabior Chol had 88 points. I'm not really too fussed about the score. It's more Matty DeSena last week coined it Hawthorn's 4-headed monster. Do you think that this is going to cause some issues for, say, Gunston perhaps, or do you reckon they continue with the 4-headed monster because Cole Shadir was subbed? What do you think happens with it? They're
all quality. That's the thing. There's no Deer's leaping ability is so good. Gunston's so smart. Lewis is a gun. He just needs that a couple of games under his belt now. I don't know how long he's been back for, but it's been a few. And then Chol he surprises me with how good he actually is. I just think they're all deserving of a spot. It's just so rare to see 4 talls play finals. So you wonder whether they'll roll with that in September, but I think it's going to last for the next couple.
If you had to pull one out of the side, out of Gunston, Lewis, Chol and Deer, who are you taking out?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it?
I think it's probably Deer.
I think it's probably Deer, but
Deer's been
that's
good as
so
well.
rough, and he's just so raw, and he's going to be a gun.
Yeah.
It's a tough call, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So that's probably the one. Because that's purely just given that he got subbed on the weekend and they didn't keep him in the game.
Yeah.
Connor Nash had the 86 points. He might be the guy that sees the bump with Will Dayard. You're mates with Will Dayard. Yeah, Daisy.
Yeah. Went to school with him, but
you've spoken to him lately. How's he going?
I haven't, but he'll be. It's a pretty tough time for him.
Yeah, especially with the same injury coming back, doing it again.
It's just,
that sort of stuff.
It just sucks. Every time you see him go down, it's just your heart breaks for him because he's just so talented and he works so hard. just can't get a good run at it.
It's a hard one for keeper league coaches as well, because it's always like you have one less list spot because you got Will Day on your side. Like all season you're carrying a player, or in your keepers as well. Like in our season, our league, we can only keep 12. It almost feels like you're keeping 11 sometimes, and you might get an extra gun for 5 or 6 games here and there, and then it just goes away again. So it's bloody frustrating.
He'd be the most frustrated of anyone. He's just such a good player that just can't get a good run at it.
I only just remembered that time that that we're at a DT Talk live show, and they outed the fact that he had some work on his nose so he could breathe through his nose.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you called in to confirm it or something like that. That was hilarious. So yeah, funny story for anyone that was there. But anyway, we'll move on. Massimo D'Ambrosio had 84 points. He's back to too good for the podcast. I can't really put my finger on what's changed for him. Do you have any thoughts?
I think just with wingers, you just see they can be so hot and cold. Like I know in the West Coast Crows game, Curtin, who's been in such good form, just didn't really get near it. And they went through Isaac Cummings' wing. And I just think that happens sometimes where if you're on the off wing, you just don't get the ball. Yeah. And I don't know if it's... Whereas D'Ambrosio, it just was all going through him, really, wasn't it?
He's been on the on wing for 3 weeks in a row. Could change, you know.
Yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes with wingers, I just think it's a bit of luck type thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's very, very hard to pick regardless of matchups.
It's a tough role, isn't it, the wing?
Depending on the game, especially. But anyway, he's back to too good for the podcast. We won't talk about him for a while, given though he's just scoring 80s each week. And Collingwood were all rubbish. Are you expecting any changes for Collingwood this week?
I think they'd have Bobby Hill.
They have him back, yep.
And maybe McCreary. Yeah. Obviously, Howe will go out.
Yep.
So there will be a lot of changes.
More so, like, I look at that midfield and I see Pendlebury in there, obviously a gun. Yep. But then you got Sidebottom on the periphery, plays wing. Tom Mitchell in there on the weekend. Ned Long kind of came into the game. Doesn't reek of a very fast midfield, you know what I mean?
Feels like they have to pick one of them. Yeah. Mitchell or Long.
Mitchell or Long needs to come out of the side, I think.
Yeah. That they sort of play that similar role where they're distributing by hand, and I don't know who they'll back in. Long's sort of fallen off a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, you're going to love this question. Who are you dropping?
Probably Ned Long at the moment. Yeah. I think he backed on Mitchell in.
Well, I'm hoping Mitchell gets dropped because
Brownlow medalist. I forget he's a Brownlow medalist.
My main opponent for the flag, well, guess now everyone's an opponent now. Grundy's gone. It has got him, so I want him dropped. Okay. Back Ned Long in. Come on, he's younger. He's better. Anyway, let's get on to Geelong versus Essendon. Jack Bowes has had a good fortnight, 85 points. He's just more so finding just some consistency, I think. The role isn't changing as much because he sometimes flips from back to forward. He
can play anywhere. And I remember that was his thing when he was getting drafted. Like, he could literally play any line, and it's the same in AFL level. Yeah,
it's just like those players that do change all the time really struggle to become good fantasy players because they just lack consistency. Definitely. But he's starting to get a bit more consistency. So, there's that DPP watch as well because I think he's playing forward a bit. Yeah, he's playing forward and kind of working up the ground a lot more. So, I don't think I don't know if he'll start with it next year, but there's a chance of forward status for him in the future as well. So that might be something to think about in your off-season trades, especially if he's going to get put back to the pool or something. Connor O'Sullivan, was he a player that you tracked as a youngster a fair bit?
Such a gun.
Yeah.
Really good pick, and he's progressing so well, I think.
68 points on the weekend. He's just cemented himself in that best 22, which is the good thing about it. And I think he's just one to watch for the future because he just pops up for good grabs, can go on a little bit of a run from half back.
Definitely. And you see the trend of massive key forwards coming through like Thilthorpe, Darcy.
Yeah.
Then you've got to have massive key defenders to match up against him, and he's one of them.
Yeah. And then looking at Essendon, Andrew McGrath has just moved into the midfield over the last 2 weeks. Scored 101 points. Like, people are literally benching him in leagues that I had for a while.
Number one pick.
Yeah, exactly. But Merritt's out this week with the broken hand, it sounds like.
Yeah, he is.
So you think McGrath goes big in the midfield again, right?
You'd have to think so at this point in time.
Depending on who they bring out and if Sardis is fit again or something, but I think that he's still a couple away if he gets back at all. Jade Gresham's another player that they've been playing in the midfield. He scored 87 points. Just, lots of midfield time. I reckon if he's available on your waivers, you've got to pick him up because I don't see that changing. Dylan Shield, he could be done for the year, so that probably does open up a spot in there. It's been interesting, though, because there's been a few players that rolled in there.
Yeah, Kako's one of them. I've got to talk about it. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I think he's a forward more so, but, no reason why he can't get a few bursts in there.
Yeah, well, Brad Scott was saying that the last 2 weeks they've been prepping him for midfield time and they're finally unleashing him. So it's just an interesting watch for the future. I agree with you. I think he's going to be much more dangerous for Essendon as a forward in the future, but if he's got the ability to do it, and sometimes they just magically overtake some of these players. So yeah, there's going to be a few changes. I'm just hoping Sardell Hawley gets another run this week because I need a bench defender this week. Might be handy. All right, let's move on to Richmond versus St Kilda. Hugo Garcia scored 101 points. He was the most used midfielder at the CBAs this week. And the 7 tackles, I guess, helped him a bit. Bit of Richmond factor about it. And 8 St Kilda players also scored.
They went nuts, didn't they?
Yeah, 100 plus. The thing is, though, like Jack Steele's not really being used in the midfield. He's playing forward a bit more. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if they drop him this week, as much as that.
Was he sub?
He was sub 2 weeks ago, and then it was his 200th. And they're saying it was just resting, getting him to that. But something about it makes me feel like they were just going to get him to 200 and then give him the rest of the season off. I don't know.
How old would he be now?
I think he's close to 30, but he's got like a neck injury apparently that he's 29. Kind of dealing with. And I wouldn't be surprised if they rest him for the rest of the season. And then there's like then there was trade rumors like straight after that as well.
I could see that. Yeah, he'll be 30 at the end of this year. So.
Yeah, so not sure if they'll actually follow through with that. I guess. But yeah, it'd be interesting. But yeah, if he keeps playing forward for the last few weeks, he probably won't do enough to get forward status. But it's an interesting watch. Although I have a feeling that he might be at another club next year. Yeah. Well, if he does anything, he's either going to be at another club where he doesn't get forward status because they'll play him in the midfield, or he'll stay at St Kilda where I doubt they use him as a forward. And if they do, he's probably going to be useless in fantasy if that's the case. So yeah. But then Kuba Sharman, I think we'll probably just tip the cap for now. 97 points, 2 goals and 11 marks. Although we have a Saturday lockout in the Shiva, so they play Friday night, I reckon. So might be a handy one for bench options. I think.
Who do they have? St Kilda have got
North, is
Essendon.
it? Essendon. I knew it was an easy one. Yeah. So
well, I mean,
yeah, that could be another good game for him there. And then Hunter Clark is actually back to Too Good for the podcast as well. He's been playing playing a bit more of a defensive role. He's got defender status. And he's kind of, if he's playing the halfback role, it's way better for him as a fantasy option, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Onto the Tigers.
It's good to see him getting a bit of a crack at a consistent run at it.
Well, I thought he was like Ross Lyon's most hated man,
Yeah.
But he's playing consistent games since he's come back from injury, so it's a pretty good sign for him. Do you know much about any Richmond players? I feel like I don't know any of them. I couldn't pick them out of lineups.
There's a few. There's a lot of talent on the list, that's for sure. Like I love the way that they actually went about their first year of the reset and just culled heaps of experienced guys and brought in so much youth. It'll obviously take a long time, but you can see that there's the genuine plan there, and like guys like Jonty Fall and Taj Houghton, we haven't seen much of, but and Lawler as well was obviously going to be a gun. So
any Richmond supporter would just be happy with the way this season's gone.
Honestly, I think they've probably. It's tough to say they've overachieved, but they probably have.
Well, they've just shown so much more progression than we expected anyway.
Definitely.
But anyway, Ryan Mansell had 94 points, 2 goals and 7 tackles and a pressure forward role. Probably a tip of the cap because he's only had the 180 plus score this season, but it was an impressive performance, so we thought we'd throw him in the show there. That's the only real Richmond supporter that put up Richmond player, that put up a decent score. So we'll move on to the next game, Brisbane versus Sydney. We'll tip the cap to Harris Andrews as well, 11 marks in defence. Angus Sheldrick was one of your boys back in the day, I remember. He had 101 points. Like, he's one of those players that we always knew he'd become like a decent scorer if he got an opportunity, right? Yeah,
and like not just an opportunity in the side, but an opportunity in his role that he actually plays, which is probably inside mid. Like, a lot of times you see young guys inside mids come in and play wing where it's just not their role.
Yeah.
But if he gets a crack at it on inside, that's really what he does. He's a bit of a bull type.
Yeah.
And he can push forward as well. But
hell, he's splitting his time between pretty much an even split between forward and mid at the moment, but it's still better than way
better than hanging out in a sort of outcast role.
Yeah. Do you reckon just new coach coming in just makes a bit of a change for him?
I think that's always the case with coaches. You got their favourites, whether they say it or not, they do.
Yeah. I reckon that's been a huge factor. Just Dean Cox actually rating him and putting him on the side, and it makes a difference, doesn't it? And then Oliver Florent, owners would be just happy that he'd played a full game and actually scored okay. So hopefully he can just hold his spot. They dropped Matty Roberts essentially.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, they were playing Matty Roberts up on the wing. And I think they just wanted more pace out of their wingers.
Yeah.
So it feels like Florent's come back in for him. And he scored okay and he did all right, and they beat Brisbane. So honestly, I don't see Sydney actually making too many changes this week.
I don't think
Grundy, obviously.
Grundy would be the one.
And I think Justin McInerney has done a knee or something, or quad or something.
Oh, wow.
Not ACL or anything like that, but he was strapped and then came back on and then came back off
honestly,
again.
I covered the Crows sample game, and then I turned the radio on, and I was absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
To see that.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
And then, so let's move on to the Carlton versus Gold Coast game. That was straight after. Cooper Lord, 112 points. He was the most used player at the CBAs this week. Does that shock you at all?
Not really.
Yeah.
Carlton need to do something.
Correct.
It's such a, it's just might as well. No Chera, no Walsh.
Yeah.
Someone has to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's going to happen this week because I think Walsh was rumoured to return last week but didn't. I'm not sure if they bother bringing him back.
You'd almost
now,
just
though.
put him on ice,
Yeah,
wouldn't
correct.
you? Like, seriously.
And Chera, did they bring him back this week? He's got the knee complaint. Only 2 weeks to go.
I mean, what have they got to... I wouldn't worry too much, to be honest.
They're playing Port this week, so it's probably their last chance at a win for their supporters.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. So that's it. Like, you might see those guys back, but I reckon the following week you'll probably see them back out again if they do come back in, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just good that they've given Lord this opportunity because it looks like that's his best role, playing that inside mid. But then they've got and it feels so weird because they traded Kennedy this year.
Yeah, I know.
But they haven't been playing Lord in this role. So they had that extra mid, they got rid of it, and once they realised that they wasn't working without it, they could have been playing Lord in there a lot more.
Yeah.
And he's kind of proving
Kennedy's
it now.
had a great year as well.
Yeah.
Which just hurts.
Yeah. So I don't know, I just think it's positive signs for the future, and he's got forward status at the moment, and should keep that going into next year, I think. So that might be handy for owners, especially if he can progress. Although you got Jagger coming back next year.
Yeah, that's
out.
the hope for Carlton, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know, but
he's
anyway,
a gun, and he will add something to that midfield,
Yeah.
which they're absolutely crying out for.
Lord, it's just positive signs for Lord at the moment. That's all, and it's kind of stuff that I think fantasy coaches have known. It's just that we haven't seen it in real life. And Francis Evans, old Franny Evans, ex-Port man.
Yeah.
93 points, 4 goals, 5 marks. I think it's a tip of the cap, but the Carlton faithful seem to love this guy. They're a bit of a cult hero at the moment.
I feel my Carlton supporting mates don't love him.
Okay,
but
media loves him at least.
Yeah, I don't know. It was probably the best game he's played at AFL.
Yeah, well, he put it he's played a good
forward.
game a few weeks ago and put his body in line and cop that May bump and whatever.
Feels like he's like the Lockie Murphy of Carlton.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, he was probably that at Port. So, yeah. Speaking of Lockie, is Lockie Cowan, 88 points. He's thriving with no Doc back there. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago I called that he'd be a fantasy player. You were quite hot on him as well, weren't you, as a junior?
Gun fantasy scorer from Tassie.
Yeah, he was I think he was like a high 80s type, so not a huge ceiling, but I think we're kind of at least seeing those kind of consistent 80s, high 70s in his AFL scoring. I think this is what he goes at the very minimum, and if that's your D3, you're going to be sitting pretty well, I think, in most leagues. So, yeah. Harry Mackay was one of my waiver pickups last week, 74 points. I think he'll continue to put up decent numbers over the final 2 rounds, purely just because there's no other real key forward option. Although McGovern played 2s on the weekend, so that might be someone they bring in.
Yeah, okay. So they got Port and then Essendon.
Yeah. So maybe, but I think he should at least replicate the Kerno numbers that are high 60s, 70s at the minimum, and then maybe get a bag over one of the last 2 games as well. Maybe this week against Port. Onto the Gold Coast, probably a tip of the cap to Ben King. He's had a funny season because he has. He had 90.1 points this week. I thought him and his brother would be way bigger fantasy players by now.
Well, Max has obviously had his
obviously,
issues, but they just don't seem to get involved in general play at all.
Yeah,
it seems like whenever he's got it, it's close to goal.
Yeah, 100%. He kicked 6 goals, 91 points. And then he's second in the Coleman, but he's not even averaging 50 points per game.
No,
that seems ridiculous. It's just mark, kick, goal.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, four times a game. Type thing, and that's about it. So he's probably he is a tip of the cap because you can't trust that kind of scoring unless he can somehow develop that kind of aerobic capacity and play a higher centre half forward role. But I just don't think that's his bag.
Done it by now, probably doesn't.
No. So even though he's kicking big bags, it's not the one for fantasy. What do you think of Alex Davies at 82 points? Still used quite a bit in the midfield. Yeah. Probably Fiorini dropped out a bit. Do you think he remains in the side for the last 2 games?
I think so.
Do you reckon he's in their finals team?
Yeah, I do.
He's putting in the effort.
Yeah, he certainly is. I think there's a lot of clubs that are interested in him as well. So I don't know whether he stays or not.
There is a bit of interest. You're right.
Yeah, I could see clubs offering him a guaranteed midfield minutes.
Yeah,
which he doesn't. They're not guaranteed at Gold Coast at the moment. So
the thing with Gold Coast players is they seem to love being at the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Players, like, they don't want to go anywhere.
The culture would be pretty good.
Or it just feels like they'd rather play twos than go somewhere else. All of them. That's what's kind of frustrating about Davies, because like he probably would be a good scorer if he does go somewhere else. But he is the type.
I haven't heard the Crows were into him, but I don't know about that too much.
Yeah.
But there'll be clubs out there that could definitely be playing. He could definitely be getting more minutes in.
There's definitely rumours out there. And then Port Adelaide versus Fremantle next game. I didn't really watch too much of this. I went to a mate's place to watch it, and then we kind of just got stuck talking, and we kept the Carlton versus Gold Coast game on for like all night, basically, until like at least half time, and then
it's actually a good game.
Yeah, I know.
I thought after that start, Freo were just going to demolish him, but credit to Port.
Listen to the end of it on the radio on the drive home, so it was pretty exciting. Shout out to Aaron Bryans, who always makes the Adelaide game sound good on ABC. But Aliir, 118 points, just a monster game.
Goal too.
17 marks in a goal. So
it's his first goal for Port as well.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
How long? He's been there a long time now.
Yeah, he just doesn't get that far up the ground that often.
That's a massive game, isn't it?
Yeah. Probably tip of the cap, though. I wouldn't be picking him up. Kane Farrell had 105 points. How do you rate his season?
I don't know. It's just... I kind of don't know what to think about him, because he's got such a nice leg, but...
Everyone thought with Houston gone, he'd be
the man,
yeah.
It's just not really... It's not really it, is he?
Yeah, he's come out with injury a fair bit, and you thought he'd just have a merchant on the kick-ins, but it hasn't really happened either. So I don't know. It's just a bit disappointing. I reckon he might be. If Port improve next year, he's a player that will improve, though. I think as well. Travis Boak announced his retirement. He could be in for a big couple of weeks if that's the case. I think they'll just let him run free and do what he wants.
Do what you want.
Yeah. And he's done that on the wing this week. This is a forward at the moment. If you can still trade, he might be one that you could offer something pretty cheap, like just a draft pick, because you're going to lose him at the end next year. So if you're still doing trades and stuff now, that might be an option. Because I think he's going to have 2 good scores. I
could see him having a couple of good
280
games.
plus scores, I reckon.
Feeling this vintage Boak.
Yeah. So make the most of it if you own him, or try to get him in if you can get it cheap there. Neil Erasmus was actually the reason I won on the weekend, because the guy I was playing put him on the bench because he was scared of being sub. And then he got 95 points playing a full game. I watched the bits and pieces of this. He was playing on the wing pretty much all night, and didn't rotate that much through the middle. I just don't trust, like you mentioned before, the wingers can be so hit and miss.
So hot and cold, it's really frustrating.
And we'll tip the cap to Michael Frederick, who had 82 points and 2 goals as well. On to the GWS versus North Melbourne game. The Discord, I think there's a guy in the Discord, he cops it because someone said Harvey Thomas was going to be a good player one day. Well, he finally put up a good score for him, because he's been up and down a lot.
I don't think he's a bad player.
Yeah. More so, I think just the role doesn't usually translate to fantasy scoring, but he was playing a lot higher up the ground. So just watch that role shift. I'm still not getting too excited. I had Stephen Cornelio as one of my streamers this week, and he put up an 83. Have you just got the feeling that he's come back on the side? He's pretty much been playing midfield, not forward. Did you feel like this was building for him?
Definitely. Yeah. I think Cogs is still gun when he's on.
Yeah. And because he's got the forward status, it makes him super handy. It was an easy opposition against North Melbourne, though, but in their he's in their main CBA rotation. He's pretty much there as like the third banana at the moment. So behind Callahan and Green, which is pretty good company to be with. So it's good that he's there and he's got the forward status. Do you think Aaron Cadman can become a good fantasy option?
Yeah, I do. I think he's got the tank to like really get up and back down the ground. He used to be I think everyone would know this by now, but he used to be a wingman like in his juniors before he grew.
Yeah.
So I could see him playing like a real. Remember Tom Lynch for the Crows?
Yeah.
I could see him playing that sort of link-up role, connector role.
Well, it can't happen in this game. There was a few marks he took across half-back, and there'd be times where you like see him there and you go, what are you doing up there? Like, he's got
that work rate at settings, and then he's got pretty good skills, and he can take a mark. So I think he's going to be an absolute jet. Like we talk about Thilthorpe and Darcy as like the two. I think Cadman's going to be really good like in that conversation as well. It just might take a little bit longer. Yeah,
I 100% agree. He should be in that same conversation. Maybe after next year he will be. And Georgie Wardlaw, we were talking last week, he might not be the ceiling player. He scored 103 points, but I wouldn't, describe that as the ceiling, big ceiling score, like, wanting 120 plus out of him. I don't know. I still haven't seen it, but do you think we might be actually starting to see some consistency with Wardlaw?
I really hope so. I really hope he gets to stay on the park for like a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
How many tackles did he have in that? He had 11 tackles, so I think that's going to be the thing that gets his scoring going. It just feels like a bit of a a tackle machine.
Yeah, he should get those. Just might not get the outside touches, as we mentioned
He gets
last week.
no easy ball, does he?
Nah, not at all. Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs. Jai Cully has just come from the clouds to be a guy.
I forgot about him, to be honest.
Same. He looks weird, but I liked him better with the dreads than I do with the long hair.
Definitely.
He's got at the moment.
I think he was a D's fan growing up, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. I didn't know that. Well, he's from Melbourne, isn't he? Yeah. 73 points. Played on the wing a lot in this game, and then he pushes forward, kicks a goal as well. He's quite handy in that role. I think he might be handy in Keeper League finals or draft finals because he's got that forward status. But if he becomes a mid-only next year and plays on that wing, I don't really love it for future. That's all.
Yeah, you can't pick him with any great confidence, can you?
That's it. And then I think Oscar Baker just had one of those games that we've been talking about for wingers. He had 81 points. I think Melbourne aren't necessarily an easy matchup for wingers looking at the numbers, but I don't know. He'd need to back it up for me to get excited about Oscar Baker, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I love the
There's
head.
a few.
I love the white headband, though.
Yeah.
It looks pretty sweet on him with the moustache as well.
It's got a nice story too about his mother. And
oh, really?
I think she had cancer, and he's doing a heap of stuff for her. So
yeah, nice. Oh, that's nice to hear. It's good to see him playing some footy as well because he was in the twos not long ago as well. And on to the final game of the round, the West Coast Eagles versus your mob, the Crows.
Yeah.
We'll start with the Eagles.
They were really good.
Liam Ryan was on fire up forward.
He was.
He's been a weird one this year because he's been playing midfield time a lot. He only had the 4 CBAs this week, but was just on fire up forward. I don't know, you think he's really old, but he's only 28. He might be just a bench option for the future before his career's over. You know what I mean?
He was great, honestly. I think he even dropped down back a few times and played I don't know if it was loose, but he definitely got a few touches down across half back. But yeah, he was really, really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd trust it long term, but
you can't.
It's just awesome to watch. But I think the most noticeable thing about the West Coast lineup was the midfield kind of shake up this week. Baker and Heff dropped out a lot, and then Heff was really kind of prominent across half back.
Yeah.
And Elijah Hewitt dropped right down as well. I think the big one that went in was Tom McCarthy.
Yeah.
Clay Hall, I reckon, spent a bit of time
Hall
in there.
went. Yeah, he didn't
score huge, but he was in there a lot as well. And Tom McCarthy in there. It felt like with Graham back and with Hall in there, it was just kind of contested balls, pressure.
Yep.
And McCarthy was the good user in there.
Yep.
And I think it really worked for them in their midfield makeup.
Well, it did work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it freed up Baker to be an attacking half forward option, freed up Heff to be the playmaker across half back.
Yep.
And still can kind of do the defensive role as well. It just worked.
It did. McCarthy was great. He's a gun.
Yeah, he's such a gun.
He's come from nowhere.
McWalter said, I think this morning in a presser or something, it's we knew he was good enough to play midfield when we drafted him. It's just we wanted to settle him to AFL
Didn't take
across
long.
half back. But their goal was to play him as a midfielder from the get-go, apparently.
A year and a half ago, he was playing local football, and now he's a big piece of their future.
Yeah.
So he looks really good. Him and Job Shanahan, they look really good.
So I'd be expecting...
the green shoots there, definitely.
I'd be expecting McCarthy to get more midfield time as the year goes.
Well, he should play the rest of the year in the midfield.
And he'd probably play next year as well with defender status.
100%.
So, yeah, that's a big one. So, Brodie Heff as well, the 72 points. I think the midfield experiment might be over with him, but I still think it's going to serve him pretty well as a halfback flanker to kind of just know the game, how to use the ball across halfback, kind of deal because there's more pressure as a midfielder, so I feel like he'll deal with that better as a defender now as well when he sets up plays and stuff like that. So
I just think he's better as a halfback.
Yeah, same. Yeah. So it's good for him, and he should keep defender status now as well, which is good. On to the Crows. I think you kind of already talked about Isaac coming a bit earlier in a mention to someone else, but just had 8 marks, found lots of space, had one of his better games.
He did, yeah.
What did you make of Zach Taylor's game with his 87 points?
He was great. He was...
was he further up the ground? It looked like me like he was
worked really hard up the ground. I know his running's probably the question mark on him. But yeah, he pushed up really hard. Took a couple of really good marks too, which is not normally his go.
Yeah.
Used it really... was one of very few that used it really well. Kicked the goal. Should have had another. Tackled really well. He was great. Best game I've seen him play for the club. Yeah, I was dissing my mate Zanks because he kept playing him on field for week after week after week, and he kept putting up 30s and 40s. So it's a tough role. Him and Pedler have really it's tough.
It's just funny as soon as his season's over because we're into finals and he didn't make it, that Zach Taylor starts putting up points for him. So
I mean, it's tough because probably one of Pedler and Taylor goes out when Rochelle comes back.
Yeah. There's a lot of West Coast factor about this score as well. So that's the other thing too. Maybe wait and see if you can do it against Collingwood next week. Some might have my doubts, I think.
Yeah, I hope the Crows can manage to keep Taylor though, because there is a good player there.
Yeah.
But I could also see him being enticed by a Melbourne club.
Yeah, and just being best 22
because I think he is a midfielder.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I hope the Crows can find a way to keep him. But I think if he went elsewhere, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Anyways, that's it for the round review. We got a couple questions. Didn't get a lot coming through. I think most people are out of their leagues by now. I think what is it? If you're in a 10-team league and there's only 2 or 4 people to go, you split your kind of listener base by over half, really.
I'm certainly out, but footy tips is my go this
keeping
year.
You going?
I'm actually doing all right in the tips. So
I'll let my son do my footy tips. He's 7 and 6, sorry, about to turn 7, and he does better than I do because he just goes with the favourites and it seems to do pretty well.
It's honestly not. It's a good tactic.
Yeah, I think too much.
I tend to do the same actually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just try to pick roughies where no one else will get them, but then everyone else ends up getting them right.
No, you got to let them make theirs.
Yeah, it just doesn't excite me tipping. That's why I'm into fantasy, because you can more variables that you can stuff around with. Anyways, Nathan Drummond asks, he has a long question. Draft positions for bottom 8 next season is based on where you finish in the regular season or where you finish after the consolation finals. Argument in our league at the moment. This is dumb, if you ask me. Consolation finals shouldn't exist in keeper leagues.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not first, you're last. Why are they even on? Don't give them something to play for after the finals season, I reckon. And then definitely it goes by the ladder position at the end of the season. Yeah, because what are you doing? You're doing tank offs in the in the consolation finals. The best loser wins. Like, is that what like the whole idea of the draft picks?
I tend to agree. Actually, that's more I think about. Yeah, it's probably not much point in that.
Yeah, like the whole idea of the draft is to get the teams at the bottom to get the best picks. And so if you're doing consolation finals, what are you trying to win or are you trying to lose? Like, what's the go?
Yeah.
And you're trying to make them win through
Say it like that now. It's not great.
This reeks of whoever is going to win the consolation final is arguing that they should win the number 1 draft pick. But in fairness, they've got the best team out of the shittest teams left type thing.
Which is like, he might as well be last.
Yeah, exactly. So, just no. It should go by ladder position or, very specifically, have a tank off. Who can put up the worst score over the last 5 rounds?
That'd actually be interesting.
Well, I've always had
pick a team to score the worst.
I've had this kind of idea in my head. It's the tank off. We've had it in our league for ages where you try to submit your worst team to actually lose. And like whoever loses actually gets the number 1 draft pick, but you can't field zeros.
Yeah, so they have to play.
Yeah.
They have to score poorly.
And if you field a 0, like it counts as 100 or something like that. So it puts 100 onto your score, and the loser takes all. So like that's the only way I would condone draft picks after
that would
consolation
actually
finals.
get me really thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Like who's going to be the shittest player this week and can't have 0? So you have to put someone there. But then you get circumstances where the team that's at the bottom is probably that shit because they've got lots of injuries and stuff like that as well. So it might not work, or you might be able to have 1 donut, and I don't know how it works. I reckon just fuck it and make sure the ladder position is where the draft picks end up. Anyway, Essendon 3040 wants to know, hello gents, thanks for the great content. My season is over. Thoughts please on 2 out of Fraser, Jasper Fletcher, Miles Bergman, Curtin and Fiorini to keep for next season. Purely fantasy. Which 2 of those would you keep for next season?
I really want to say Curtin, but I don't. I love Dan Curtin. He's probably my favourite player at the moment. But Jasper Fletcher.
I think Jasper Fletcher's a standout.
Yeah, Jasper Fletcher is an absolute jet. I reckon he'll probably be captain of Brisbane one day. But
Bergman and Curtin is such a flip of the coin for me. I reckon. My thinking is Fiorini's just always on the fringe of best 22, and he's 30.
Fiorini wouldn't. Yeah,
Fraser's great. I just think he's a little way off being a fantasy player.
Well, isn't he still a 10?
He's 19. Yeah. So he's still a little way off, that's something you could bank. But like
Bergman could be anything under a new coach, you think?
I think Bergman is, if everything goes to plan, he is a full-time midfielder next season with defender status. But the temptation to play him in defence is going to be so great sometimes because he's actually a good defender, can play tall, can kind of do anything.
He's real versatile.
So it kind of depends on who's fit, who comes into the side, who develops, that sort of stuff. So Bergman maybe just edges out Curtin for me, but is Curtin going to have forward status next season?
I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, so maybe not.
I wouldn't have thought. He's pretty much been pure wing this year.
Fletcher and Bergman then for me, but Curtin is so close just because he could be anything as well.
definitely Fletcher number one though.
Yeah, that's the go there. Anyways, I think we will wrap it up there. So thank you, Tommy, for coming on the show this weekend. You're doing a bit of work with the Crows at the moment.
It's been pretty cool. Done a bit of sample reporting for their sample side. So a lot of
see Billy Dowling's performance on the weekend?
I did, and it was everywhere.
Is he going to come into the side? And what about Crouch as well? Is he someone who could come in?
Crouch did Crouch things. You know. Draper was really good too, actually. Mainly in the first half. He sort of faded a little bit. But Dowling, he was everywhere. He's like a victim of his own versatility, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
But he played on ball, inside mid, and tore it up.
So that's the thing. He's probably not going to do that at AFL level anytime soon, though, is he?
But he can play wing, bit of half forward.
Yeah, that's what he did last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Good to see for the owners out there. But anyways, good that you're still in the game a bit. Look, watching some footy and reserves and that sort of stuff. That's always been your bag, so great to hear. Anyways, get around us on at Keeper League Pod on all the socials. As I mentioned at the top before, make sure you jump on as a member if you are considering doing it for next season. You're better off doing it now than waiting. And get around our YouTube channel as well if you want to watch these podcasts in a video format. Tommy, where can people find you on Twitter? It's at
Tom Wyman, I think.
Tom M. Wyman.
That's right.
Tom M. Wyman. I know your own handle better than you do.
Yeah,
typing into all the social stuff.
Yeah.
Get around him there. And thanks for joining us.
No worries, mate. Pleasure.
We'll talk to you next week. See you later.